Of one man to launch a wholly unjustified and brutal invasion of of Ukraine.
Are you fucking with me?
I am just disagreeing with you.
In America, we have the freedom of speech, the right to disagree.
Any human being, anywhere, is well within his right to do whatever is necessary by any means necessary to protect his life and property, especially in a country where the federal government itself has proven that it is either unable or unwilling to protect the lives and property of those human beings. This is your period.
Jesus said, let your yes be yes and your no, no. Anything more comes from the evil one. Think about that. Even in the words you speak, there is a boundary. You don't need to embellish. You don't need to argue. You don't need to defend.
All right, what's up, ladies and germs? Welcome back to the show. It is March 14th, Saturday, 2026, 9:07 a.m. We made it through Friday the 13th with no major events that I know of. I mean, we've had for me, it's been a crazy weekend already, but it's Saturday morning. Still got 2 days to go. Yesterday was kind of hectic with me. I may or may not be going back home. Me and Julio was going to record last night, but something came up for him. And I was just going to record last night, but here I am Saturday morning. The subject was subliminal messaging and predictive programming in Hollywood and music, literature. It happens in all the any way they disperse information, pretty much. But first, let me get into some of the current events here. So the Michigan synagogue shooter. This happened on March 12th, which was Thursday. This guy, Ayman Mohammed Ghazali, 41-year-old Lebanese-born U.S. citizen. He was the shooter at the Temple Israel Synagogue in West Bloomfield Township, Michigan, which is right outside of Detroit, to my understanding. And he rammed his vehicle into the building and opened fire before being killed by security guards. The attack was classified as a targeted act of violence against the Jewish community by the FBI. Oh, shit. All right, I was trying to... It looks like he didn't get anyone. So the vehicle caught fire, possibly from something flammable inside. So maybe he was like a suicide driver. One security guard was struck and injured by the vehicle, and 63 law enforcement officers were transported to hospitals for smoke inhalation. Okay, yeah. So he was a car bomber. It says would-be Michigan car bomber rammed explosives-laden truck into Temple Israel preschool. I didn't know that. Jesus. Thank God nobody got killed. An armed wannabe car bomber plowed a vehicle loaded with explosives into the preschool of a Michigan synagogue Thursday in a targeted attack on the Jewish community. So, it says Ghazali had been living in Michigan since 2011 after entering the country on an immigrant visa as the spouse of a U.S. citizen. So for those of you that don't know, all right, so I live right now, I'm in a underground bunker on the Ohio Michigan border. So I'm real close to this area, right? So up in Dearborn, it used to be the largest Muslim community in the country. I think it's Minneapolis is getting pretty close now. They're importing all the Somalians up there. So, but between Dearborn and Minneapolis, it's definitely the two biggest, right? So they will they will marry people in to become citizens, basically. I mean, the where's Elon Omar from? I think she's Minnesota, right? She married her brother, and she's a politician now. I mean, whatever. Where was I? Okay. He applied for naturalization in 2015 and was granted U.S. citizenship. Prior to the shooting, at least 4 relatives, including a sibling, were killed by Israeli airstrikes in his home country during the 2026 Lebanon war. There's a lot of so Israel's they bomb. It's all in the Middle East, right? So Palestine, obviously, the Gaza Strip and the West Bank, Lebanon, which is where he was from, Syria, Yemen, and Iran. Obviously, Iran is heating up. But they also hit Qatar, Tunisia, and other surrounding countries. So, I mean, it's just a holy war over there. Uh, I'm not so sure we should be getting involved, but I'm against all of it. You know, I was over there in Somalia, which they've been bombing that too, which is a Muslim country, basically with no government. It's being run by warlords. That's why they hate it, because they can't install their own Western cabinet because there is nothing to replace, right? But I forget what I was even talking about. Oh yeah, one of the countries that they've been bombing is Tunisia, which I so when I was in Somalia, we took over the University of Mogadishu, the whole campus, and we made it like a UN home base, basically. And the Tunisians were right across the street. They were fighting right next to the Americans. So I don't know what's changed since then, but I don't know how we can back that. So that's pretty much it for that. But I mean, he had his family members killed by Israel, and he went and attacked a preschool. That's pretty much cowardly, and I'm glad he's dead. But there'll be another one. There always is. Speaking of that, there was a shooter at Old Dominion, and I don't know where that is. All right, so I'm looking at it now. Old Dominion University is in Norfolk, Virginia, which is right in the middle of, it's close to Washington. There's a lot of, or Washington, D.C., I should say. There's a lot of FBI and CIA activity in that area. The assailant, 36-year-old Mohammed Baylor Jalal, or Jalal, attacked a reserve officers training corps, which is what ROTC stands for. The ROTC group yelling Allahu Akbar while opening fire. I think that means all praise to Allah. Let me look at it. Oh, shit. I don't know. We're gonna go with that. Something about that. It's a Muslim thing, and they like to holler that out when they're doing acts of violence. One ROTC instructor was killed, and two ROTC cadets were critically injured before Jalal was fatally stabbed as other members of the ROTC group subdued him. The shooting is being investigated as an act of terrorism. That's what I was trying to look at. I want to see who stabbed him. I don't know if they're probably not gonna put his name out. Um, I think that kid deserves like a statue, man. They should name a wing at Old Dominion after him. Stabbed the dude to death. I don't know if he did it by himself. That was the understanding I had, but I could be wrong. I couldn't find the kid's name, and that's probably a good thing. I also have a bunch of other, you know, uh, Muslim extremists coming after him. So they're not going to put his name out. Maybe in the future, they'll name one of the wings after him. Put up a statue, maybe. And then all the blue-haired white chicks will be crying for it to be torn down. The blue-haired white chicks and the skinny dudes with man buns. Hippies. They call them liberals these days, but they're just hippies. Reinvented in another time, in another place. So that happened also on March 12th, the same day. So that was Thursday. Mohammed Baylor Jalloh. Also, he was a former Army National Guard member. That's interesting because he's up in the same area as Sergeant Crossthread. I should have got him on here, damn it. I had no idea this dude was a nasty girl. I hope I remember the next time Sergeant Crossthread comes on, maybe tomorrow morning. We usually do a Sunday morning, but like I said, I might be in Akron. Bunch of drama went down back home, and a couple people are in the hospital, and somebody's going back to prison. That's all I'm going to say about that. I don't want to get into details. Well, there's one other thing I was going to talk about before we get into the subliminal messaging and so forth. England is replacing so up until now they've had people on their money like William Shakespeare, Winston Churchill, the Queen, probably some of the princes. I'm not sure. I don't go over there. But they have. It's funny because all three of these, I'm not an anti-Muslim. I'm an anti-Muslim extremist when they start acting like assholes like these two other guys I've talked about so far. But this goes right along with it. They're replacing their currency with wildlife, probably to appease diversity, right? I mean, England has gone to shit. it's being overrun with Muslims because they don't have the balls to stand up for themselves. It's fine if Muslim people want to live there. I mean, there's plenty that live here that don't start no shit, right? But you don't start changing your flag, you don't start changing your money. For for instance, Minnesota, or it might be Minneapolis, but they're voting to change their flag because they're being overrun. If you left a place because it was so terrible and you're getting bombed and all that crap, but then you come here and you want to start pushing the same things that was going on where you came from. That's not a good idea. What do they say? Insanity is repeating the same thing over and over and expecting different results. That's what's going on here. But so they're replacing their, Winston Churchill, William Shakespeare, the monarchs. They're replacing all them with wildlife images, which is kind of odd to me because I can't think of it. I don't think of wildlife when I think of England. Maybe foxes. I know they do hunt. They do go fox hunting. I remember that from the movie Damien, or not. The movie wasn't Damien, but it was The Omen. They were over there in England. What else? I think of Damien Thorne, and I think of Austin Powers. Let's see, James Bond. Put those people on the money. But it's just before you know it, they'll probably have like Muhammad on their currency. Where's the IRA when you need them? All right, I'm back. I'm sorry. Just got off the phone with my dad. He's in the hospital. I have no idea what I was talking about. So we're going to have to move on to the subliminal messages and predictive programming. All right. All right. So I got a list. I mean, I've got a list of some of the movies. And let me explain here. All right. So Hollywood, you got subliminal messaging in movies, music, and then you've got predictive programming in movies and books. And then you got what they call Easter eggs. It's like hidden, usually like in cartoons, right? So, but they're also in movies. Like for instance, The Matrix. What the license plate was IS 5416. That's what they consider an Easter egg. All right, the license plate was IS 5416. That they're saying that stands for Isaiah 54:16. All right. I'm gonna read that to you. All right. So let me let me put it in a little bit of context. Isaiah 54:8. In a burst of anger, I turned my face away for a little while, but with everlasting love, I will have compassion on you, says the Lord, your Redeemer. That verse right there should give everybody hope and understand that they're not alone. I'm just trying to, I wanted to read that so that you know who's talking to you. It's our Heavenly Father. I Isaiah 54:13. I will teach all your children, and they will enjoy great peace. You will be secure under a government that is just and fair. Your enemies will stay far away, and you will live in peace, and terror will not come near. See, that's another one that I need to hear, because I used to complain about Paul in Romans 13 telling us to obey the government. And there's another part in, I think it's Isaiah 9 or Isaiah 9:6, where they say a man a son will be born, and he will bear the weight of the government on his shoulders. I need to read the whole book of Isaiah some more, but that verse is for people like me that don't understand that, yeah, we don't like what the government's doing, but God, he knows what's going on, right? He's going to take care of things. There's nothing we can do anyway. It's like Biden said, what are you going to do with your guns? Take on F-16s? You know what I mean? And we got facial recognition and drones and all that stuff going on right now. So, I mean, he's actually got a point, Biden does, about you can't take on the government unless everybody was on the same page, and that will never happen, ever. And I don't know, you can say they do that intentionally, the divide and conquer, but you got left and right, white versus black, gay versus straight, all that stuff. And anyway, here's 54:15. This is the verse before the license plate, right? If any nation comes to fight you, it is not because I sent them. Whoever attacks you will go down in defeat. This is Isaiah 54:16. I have created the blacksmith who fans the coals beneath the forge and makes the weapons of destruction, and I have created the armies that destroy. So, you could say people are crazy. Maybe that was just a random license plate. Who knows? But also in the Matrix, which was 1999, right? Neo's passport, I think it was the expiration date, 9/11/2001. That's what you call an Easter egg. All right. And then you got some of the sexual innuendos they put in children's cartoons. You know, kids watch cartoons. Why are you going to put, pictures of dicks on the Little Mermaid? The Toy Story blowjob. If people don't know what I'm talking about, I'll bring it up. I brought this up on Yandex, and I could not find it anywhere, right? Yandex is a Russian search engine. And so I brought it up on what's the name? Brave browser. God, I couldn't think of the word, but that's what I use for most things, right? I trust Brave browser more than Google or whatever. But so anyway, I couldn't find any images, and I've been finding these images trying to show people what I was talking about forever, and it wouldn't come up. So the only thing I could find was this Snopes article that is dismissing it and saying that it's not true. But it does show the article or the image that I'm talking about. Let me share it. Share Brave. I don't really need to share any sound because there is no sound. All right, so you see what I'm talking about? They're saying that this tableau did not actually appear in any version of Toy Story 3. However, it was created by simply adding this suggestive shadow image into a scene which originally featured rather ordinary shadowing effect. All right, so here you see what I'm talking about. When it was first brought to my attention, they were saying it was like a one frame that would like be a subliminal message, and you wouldn't actually see it because it goes by too fast. Now here's the image that they're saying they actually put that over. So I don't know if you trust Snopes or not, but it's been completely scrubbed from the internet, which is crazy. They just scrub things, man. There's stuff that I look for that I have seen 100 times, and then you try to find it and it's gone. Just gone. Pinocchio. The scene from Pinocchio. What's his name? Jim Brewer has a hilarious clip about this. Let me see if I can find it. I love Jim Brewer, man. He is hilarious and he's not even trying to be, right? I see I fucked up. I didn't share the sound because I was used to sharing that image on the last one. Here, share sound. All right. Here it is. He's talking about the movie Pinocchio.
Domain, so anybody could make a Pinocchio movie now.
Oh, how creepy.
That is creepy. So when did the first Pinocchio come out? Hanks is in it.
Four new ones?
Yeah, it became in the public.
My bad. Let me start it over. All right, here
They
we go. About 6
compromise
minutes.
people.
And it's been going on forever.
Yeah,
Forever, dude.
It's got to be going on right now still.
100%. But
It's got to be happening somewhere where you can get away with it.
well, I mean, even in the Disney film in Pinocchio, it's unbelievable. The pub scene.
What are you talking about? The new one?
No.
The old one?
Yeah, in Pinocchio. And I think
I think there's a new Pinocchio. That's
there
what
is. Tom Hanks is in it.
Four
But
new
think-
ones?
Yeah, it became in the public domain, so anybody could make a Pinocchio movie now.
Oh, how creepy.
That is creepy. So
I'm
when
gonna
did the
boycott
first
all those
Pinocchio
movies.
come out?
Oh my God. It was probably like the fucking 40s.
Okay,
Or something.
look up the pub
Was it?
scene. The pub scene
1940.
in Pinocchio. And you'll remember this when you saw it as a kid. It gave you a creepy feeling in your belly.
Let's see it. Pub scene in Pinocchio.
He talks about
Yeah.
bringing the boys to Pleasure Island. And then he starts whispering what happens to the boys, and the fox freaks out. He's like, but, and he goes, no,
creepy
no,
that they said
they
fox.
don't come back as boys. Watch it.
Ooh.
Right in your face.
Ooh. When do you think they started doing stuff like that?
Dude. He goes, we steal
Oh, look at
stupid
this.
little boys. It's the pub scene, the tavern or the pub. Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, these guys are all hopped up. They're like, oh, you know, we're
at
making it. Yeah, this is it. This is it. Here we go.
It's great to be a celebrity, an actor's life for me. And the dummy fell for it. Hook, line, and sinker. And he still thinks we're his friends.
Whatever cartoon they
And
brought
this
up, it's in
Stromboli
another
thing.
language.
Plenty.
Now watch.
How low Honest John will stoop.
That's how low I'll stoop.
Now, coachman,
So cocky.
what's your proposition? Well, how would you blokes like to make some real money? Well, and who do we have to, No, nothing like that. You see? I'm collecting stupid little boys. The disobedient ones what play hooky from school. Oh. And you see... And I takes them to Pleasure Island.
What's your reaction?
Pleasure Island? But the law. Suppose they... No. There's no risk. There's no risk. Come back as boys.
Look at Jim Poole makes some of the goofiest faces. He's hilarious.
No leaving at midnight. We meet at the crossroads. And no double cross.
Now watch when he imitates him. It's my favorite part.
Any good prospects you find, bring him to me. Yes.
Jesus Christ.
I got plenty.
What is that?
It's so creepy because, like, what value are boys to him? That's the thing. It's like they're going to kidnap these boys, but why?
And they're not going to kill him.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
No. You want to make real money. And the line before it, like, we'll stoop to anything for this much. And that's what people don't understand. That power will bring the pure demonic devil out of you if that's who your God is. And this fucker was like, she's like, you want to make real money? We steal
Boys.
stupid little boys. We bring them to Pleasure Island. And then you see the fuck, he goes, Pleasure Island?
So they must-
and he goes, no, they don't come back as little boys.
So you got to think, in 1940, when they're writing this, the guys that are writing this, they must have probably heard stories about children getting sex trafficked. They must have heard those stories because we've heard those stories.
All right, I had to pause it. I don't know if you guys can hear what I hear, but there's literally a fucking helicopter hovering above the ground, up above this bunker I'm in. Probably can't hear it. All right, I'll finish.
We've heard those stories as adults.
Yes.
Where there was always stories about some weird government in Italy, was it say, where the original story was written, the donkey is a symbol of stupidity. The moral behind Pleasure Island is that little boys who scoff at education and moral codes set forth by their parents, preachers, and authority figures will engage in jackass behavior instead, such as fighting, vandalism, underage drinking, and often destined to grow up to become men who have no option to make a living except through back-breaking manual labor. And there are plenty of people in the world, such as the coachmen, who will take advantage of that. I think maybe there's a little more going on there. Like your interpretation of that, that's such a shallow interpretation of them kidnapping boys and saying they don't come back as boys.
We're just trying to help their education.
And then he's evil. So, like, what value would he have what's the value of those boys if you're not sexualizing them? Like, it seems like that's a very specific possibility that's happening.
Just very incredible that no one talks about that.
Have you ever seen any of those documentaries about, like...
All right, that's enough. So the same thing happened here. They looked it up, and some Snopes or Snope-like website was dismissing it, just like with the Toy Story thing. And I got to tell you, when I tried to bring it up on Yandex, I didn't know there was they made like a parody porno, and it was literally like pornographic images. And I'm like, geez, I feel guilty just fucking Googling it. Thank God I have this podcast episode where I recorded the date and time to prove that I'm not a creep. And that's the other thing. The fox in the Pinocchio movie is creepy to me because that's my last name, and I don't just call myself Fox because I'm some kind of Tom Hanks character or something like that. You know, it's all this shit creeps me out. Let me get off of this. All right, so Toy Story, Pinocchio. We're talking about Easter eggs. The Simpsons. I'm gonna have to ask the website about this one because there are so many shit on The Simpsons that I can't keep it track in my head. There's too. All right, I'm looking at YouTube, and there's one that is crazy, and I'm gonna play that one first. We're talking about the. Hold on. All right. The Simpsons is predicting that
James
Trump's
Kaufman
death
will news
is
report today.
It's about a couple minutes long.
James Kaufman will news report today. Ladies and gentlemen, this scene was never aired on The Simpsons, but it totally predicts Trump's death on March 14th of 2026. March 14th of 2026. Please notice the paperwork around him and what's going on. And hey, they've not been wrong yet. Let's watch and see what happens, shall we? And this is Trump in a casket, right?
Donald Trump will die on March 14, 2026, and The Simpsons already predicted it. In a controversial episode of The Simpsons, one that many tried to hide, there's a shocking scene. Clearly shown next to a terrifying headline, Donald Trump found dead, and it doesn't stop there. In the episode, Trump is shown inside a luxurious room, surrounded by secret documents, nervously talking on the phone when suddenly he collapses.
I'm sorry,
the
it's
clock
going
on the
in and
wall
out.
stops exactly at 7
It's not me, it's the video.
Part, just seconds before, very powerful will be silence. A strange shadow appears, reflected in the glass just moments before it all happens. Who is it? This episode was never officially aired. It briefly circulated online and then mysteriously disappeared. The truth might be way bigger than anyone thinks. Comment, want the truth, if you want part 2.
Oh, you're getting part 2 right here. Top secret. We're at war now with Iran. This was before Trump was even president of the United States. He is in the Oval Office with lightning going off. And ladies and gentlemen, well.
All right. I can't understand what that dude's saying. People say I sound like I'm drunk. People, I boxed for 20 years and I've been through a couple of windshields. I'm not drunk, I'm punchy. That dude sounded like he was hammered. I couldn't even hardly understand him. And now he's saying that that it didn't actually air, but the fact that I was just scrolling through, and the fact that it said that Donald Trump was going to die on March 14th, which is today, I said, I gotta play that. How can I not? It's today. All right, I'm going to play a short then. Let's see.
Five times The Simpsons have predicted the future. In Season 6, Episode 19, Lisa visited a fortune teller and was transported 15 years into the future. While in the future reality, she talked to Marge using a video chat feature on her phone, which is now called FaceTime. In Season 9, Episode 3, when Bart was sad, Marge offered to read him a book called Curious George and the Ebola Virus, possibly hinting at the 2014 U.S. Ebola outbreak. In Season 11, Episode 17, when Lisa was the president, she stated that she had to clean up after Donald Trump, meaning they predicted he would be president in the future. In Season 22, Episode 1, Milhouse correctly predicted that Bengt Holmstrom would win the 2016 Nobel Prize. In Season 5, Episode 10, The Simpsons predicted the Siegfried and Roy tiger attack. 5 times The Simpsons have predicted the future. In Season 6, Episode 19...
All right, that's enough. Shut up. So you get the point. And there was also an episode, now, had to do with the Epstein files. The guy in the wheelchair, Stephen Hawkins. It did none of that came out until after he died, like right after he died. And there was an episode of The Simpsons. He was in there, and a helicopter came and snatched him up, and they had like a robotic arm that grabbed some kids to take with him. And then you got predictive programming. So here's a list. Contagion. That was in 2011. I've never seen this movie, so I had to bring it up. Contagion is a 2011 medical thriller directed by Steven Soderbergh. It became especially famous during the COVID-19 pandemic because many parts of the movie turned out to be surprisingly realistic. As I said, this was 2011, so 9 years prior, give or take. The basic plot. The story follows the rapid global spread of a deadly virus that begins with a businesswoman returning from a trip to Hong Kong. Surprised it wasn't Wuhan. Within days, people across the world started dying from a mysterious illness. Scientists and public health officials raced to identify the virus, understand how it spreads, develop a vaccine, prevent global panic and societal collapse. Which is actually the opposite of what really happened. Instead of prevent, it should say promote global panic and societal collapse, because that's exactly what happened during COVID. The film shows events from multiple perspectives: doctors, government officials, researchers, journalists, and ordinary families trying to survive. The virus in the movie. The fictional virus is called MEV1. Key characteristics of MEV1: spread by respiratory droplets and contaminated surfaces, incubation period of a few days, high mortality rate, originally traced to animal to human transmission, like COVID was blamed on a bat. Now it's saying in the movie, a bat infects a pig, which infects a human. That's spooky that it was a bat. Same thing. This type of transmission is called zoonotic spillover, which is common in real world outbreaks. Oh, maybe I did see this. It says the film features a large ensemble: Matt Damon, Kate Winslet, don't know her, Lawrence Fishburne, I know him, think I know Jude Law, Gwyneth Paltrow, Marion Cotillard, don't know her either. Why people talk about it so much. The movie was praised for its realism because the filmmakers consulted real epidemiologists and organizations like the Center for Disease Control and Prevention and the World Health Organization. Anybody that listens to this show is very familiar with the CDC and the World Health Organization. It accurately portrayed things that later happened in real life: lockdowns and quarantines, contact tracing, misinformation spreading online, panic buying, toilet paper. I threw that in there when it said panic buying. I thought of toilet paper. Vaccine development, which happened super quick. All right. So Contagion, The Matrix, which we already talked about, that's predictive programming, but it also had some Easter eggs. That's why we've already talked about that. The Truman Show, that was basically foreshadowing the surveillance state. Idiocracy kind of promotes the dumbing down of society. Demolition Man, one of my favorites. That's like 1993. So that was 23 years ago. They talked about how people were super paranoid of germs and disease. People would surveillance. People would say a cuss word and a ticket would print out of a light pole. And people like us were living in the sewers because they didn't want to conform to the way society was heading. Minority Report, don't know much about that. V for Vendetta. Leave the World Behind. That was recent. That was like 2023. And I believe that was the Obama brothers had something to do with that movie. And when I say Obama brothers, I'm talking about Barry and Michelle, or Big Mike, as a lot of people like to call him. Enemy of the State. The Simpsons, we already talked about that. They Live. That's one of the oldest on this list, 1988. That was Roddy Piper. Had one of the greatest fight scenes ever. It seemed like it lasted about 10 minutes. That was when he would put the glasses on and the billboards would say one thing, but when you put the glasses on, it would literally say like obey, consume. And that is so real. I mean, that is exactly what I've talked about Edward Bernays in the past, right? He was Sigmund Freud's nephew, and he was the father of propaganda. He was known for getting women to smoke. He made bacon and eggs a thing for breakfast before it ever was. He worked for major corporations that would pay him, and he would just convince people to do things. He was also responsible for the Uncle Sam portrait that says "I want you for the U.S. Army." That was Edward Bernays. But that's the type of stuff I'm talking about in this movie. They Live. Like, it really doesn't say obey or consume, but in a part of your brain, that's what it's really telling you to do. I mean, Edward Bernays was the father of propaganda. Propaganda became known under different names, such as marketing, which is now, it's just a normal thing that we accept. Wall-E, Monsters, Inc. Okay, Wall-E was where there was it was a cartoon, I believe, and it was people got so fat and lazy because they had robots doing everything for them. Monsters, Inc. The monsters were trying to extract fear from the little kids. So, and it had like a value to it. So that's what people are talking about with this Epstein Island stuff and all the pedophiles going after adrenochrome and stuff. Now, a lot of people, when you start talking about adrenochrome, they think you're nuts. But that's what a lot of people think Monsters, Inc. was about. And I don't know how long I've been going here, but some of the music, you talk about backward masking. Let me bring it up here. All right. Backward masking is when a sound or message is recorded backwards on a track. So when the song is played normally, it's hidden. But if you reverse the audio, you hear the message clearly. It caused a lot of controversy in the 70s and 80s, especially in rock music. Now, I have one example in my life when I was a kid. It was Queen. Another One Bites the Dust. And it was hard to get it going at the right speed, because I was doing it manually. I would just basically just play the record backwards with my hand because somebody told me about it. And it was Another One Bites the Dust, I believe. And you play and you spin it backwards and I'm trying to get it to the right speed. and it was saying it's fun to smoke marijuana, but it'd be like, it's fun to smoke marijuana. Yeah, fun to smoke marijuana. You know, you're trying to get the right speed. But here, so that's the one I experienced in real life. So I can definitely tell you that is not, but that's not even on this list. Rain by the Beatles, 1966. Maybe it's going in by the year. One of the first popular songs to use backward vocals intentionally. The reverse vocal at the end was discovered accidentally when a tape was played backwards in the studio by John Lennon. I'm not familiar with the song Rain. Empty Spaces by Pink Floyd, 1979. When reversed, you hear a hidden message. Congratulations, you have just discovered the secret message. And that was Empty Spaces on the Wall album. Another one by the Beatles, Revolution 9. If reversed, the phrase number 9 can sound like turn me on, dead man. That's kind of creepy. Turn me on, dead man. Snowblind by Styx, 1981. A backward message actually mocking accusations of satanic messages. Satan move through our voices. Mocking accusations of satanic messages. That sounds like a cover up. Satan moved through our voices. And you know, Adam Sandler loves Styx, and he's Jewish. I'm just throwing that out there. He always includes Styx in a lot of his movies. I'm not saying it. Oh, okay. Another one bites dust is on this list. Some listeners claimed it says it's fun to smoke marijuana. When reversed, the band said this was unintentional. That is the biggest crock of shit I've ever heard. It was clear as day. And I promise you that because I did it several times. Showed people it, did it by myself. There's not one person that would say that wasn't clear as day. Another thing, everybody knows Freddie Mercury was openly gay, but it makes you wonder, if your lead singer was openly gay, don't you think that, you know, birds of a feather flock together? So was the whole band gay? Or maybe that's something we can look into on another episode. Do an episode on homos. Songs often accused but not confirmed. Stairway to Heaven by Led Zeppelin. Everybody knows that one. The most famous backward masking controversy. People claim reverse lyrics praise Satan. The band always denied intentionally doing this. Just like Queen said it was unintentional. I don't know how clear that one was, but if people are saying it, it's probably true because it's just like I was talking about earlier. Snopes tries to scrub things, but people still have these albums and can easily prove it. Maybe we'll do that one day on air. I don't have a record player. I'm too old. I mean, that's like you'd have to go to like the Goodwill and try to find a record player or something. I'm sure you can order one on eBay. Hotel California by the Eagles. Rumors claimed hidden occult messages when reversed. No evidence the band inserted any. Okay, that's it for the backward masking. The other thing was literature. Now, this is not like Easter eggs or backward masking. This is literally predictive programming, which predictive programming basically tries to normalize things so that you're not afraid when it really happens, such as we talked about Contagion in 2011, they tried to prevent people from panicking, but in reality, They were trying to make people panic. And that's what happened. All right. So the predictive programming, if anybody's heard of the book 1984 by George Orwell, there was a character called Big Brother, which was the government, mass surveillance, rewriting history purposely, which is exactly what I'm talking about Snopes is doing here on the internet. Rewriting history, propaganda, which theorists argue align with the current societal trends. Absolutely. Brave New World by Aldous Huxley highlights a society conditioned through technology, entertainment, and drugs to accept totalitarian control. Oh, shit. My bad. The Stand by Stephen King. I'm not familiar with that. I don't read. I definitely wouldn't read Stephen King books because I don't like him. I've watched some of his movies, but they're usually too long for me. I think The Stand is probably like 3 hours, either that or it's like a mini series where you have to watch like 4 or 5 different movies. Cited in conspiracy theories regarding narratives surrounding pandemics. All right. So it's something like Contagion. Oryx and Crake by Margaret Atwood. I've never heard of that one. Often discussed for its depiction of engineered pandemics and corporate control. Okay. That's it for me for now today. So that was, and I'm sorry, I've had a lot going on today. I got some bunch of drama going on back home. My dad's in the hospital. I got another family member that's in the hospital, and somebody's going back to prison. So it's off. It's been kind of a hectic day for me, so I'm sorry about that. But if you like the show, tell your friends, like, subscribe, share, give us good reviews and all that stuff. And reach us on email at conspiracysoldiers@yahoo.com. You can watch these videos on YouTube under Conspiracy Soldiers. Conspiracy Soldiers on Rumble. You can watch videos. Or you can find us on audio anywhere that you find podcasts. So thanks for listening, and God bless everybody. Conspiracy Soldiers is going dark.